Welcome everybody to the ASC live stream. I am Adam, and with me, I'm gonna start saying as always, babe, because you've been on most of the frequent ones lately. So
Yeah, lately.
I think you've earned that intro now. Like, you've been on most of them.
Here's
You're the what is it, Ed McMahon to the Johnny
yep,
Carson?
yep.
You are correct. But yeah, Brendan is letting us take the keys to the vehicle today to see what kind of trouble we can get into. Um, and that's never a good idea. But I mean, he seemed to think we could handle it, so we'll see what goes on with this one. But before we get into business, babe, how have you been?
I'm good. I'm good. How have you been?
Busy, but
Yeah.
That's life, I guess.
Yes, it is.
We were having the old man conversation before this, and so, you talking about the weather. You were saying you had some hurricane weather there.
That's what it seemed like.
Just about.
Just you know how bands will come off of a hurricane, just
Sure.
one after another, and that's what it was doing here earlier today, just coming through one, and I think another one's expected through here sometime soon to just pour in the rain.
Yeah, we get that joke up here that it's just like our seasons go from like you have like fall, then you have like pre-winter, then it's like second fall, then you have real winter, then you have like a fall spring, then you have second winter, and then like you go through all this stuff, and that I think we're on our third winter.
Winter,
but it's not a bad one so far. So we'll get through that. And I think
blizzard tonight at Adam's house.
I hope not. I think we're done with that. We had some ice last night. That sucked, but
yeah.
Other than that, so you came up with the theme tonight because Brendan asked what we wanted to talk about, and I said I didn't care. Well, that's not what I said in the chat, but we don't need to say what I said in the chat. But you had a good idea, and it's something that we haven't like necessarily dove deep in on, is how we can make ASC, underwater habitation, attractive and stuff for the non-scuba community, because we talk heavily about the scuba community, because I mean a lot of them are familiar with, say, Jules and Aquarius, stuff like that. They're familiar with a lot of the terminology and stuff that we use on here, but as far as one of the goals has always been, and Brendan always uses the term, that he wants to be able to get his 90-some-year-old grandma to be able to go to one, someone that's not a scuba diver. I'm not a scuba diver. You and Brendan are scuba certified, but I mean, I can swim a little bit, but I mean, I don't have scuba certification. So, yeah, you approach the idea that how we should discuss how we can make that more of a, alluring to the non-scuba community.
Yeah.
And I guess kind of kicking it off a little bit. We talked a little bit last week off camera. I think after the show, I was not last week, the weekend before. I was telling you and Brendan that my wife and I are thinking about planning a trip somewhere, like, because we haven't gone on a big trip, just the two of us, since two of us got married 15 years ago, or 14 years ago, sorry. And we're talking about like Playa del Carmen, Cozumel, Costa Rica, and all these, all the places that we, a lot of times we talk about as good locations for, that would have good waters for the habitat.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to kick off that conversation because, what the thing that, for a lot of people, why I think that would be alluring is the same reason that people want to go to those places anyways, because the water's beautiful. They got great marine life. They're huge tourist communities anyways, for one. So, and that's kind of like what we would like to do, is be able to present these in places where there's already a good, there's a lot of tourists that go in and out anyways.
Yeah, so, draw.
Yeah, and, giving that unique opportunity. But so I guess is what I would ask you, get your input with this is, say you're going to one of these places. Say you and your wife are planning a vacation to Cozumel, let's say that's where we can get a habitat down at. That I mean, how would you convince her to be like, hey, let's go stay at this underwater place as opposed to a resort? Like, how would you sell her on that?
How would I? Well, that's a good question. How would I sell her on that? But first, the beauty. She loves anything, wildlife, beautiful
Yep.
nature. And so for her, it's an easy sell as far as the ocean aspect. Now, the underwater part, it's actually going to take visuals for her. It really is, because, I'm probably going to get smacked if she watches this, but she has a little bit of a claustrophobia problem.
Sure.
And
which is super common.
yeah, sure it is. And the idea, though, with our visuals is always to have some kind of a large window,
Yep.
a port. So that's going to open it up more, give you light, make it not feel crowded, I guess, which is needed anyways, because that's part of the draw. It's part of it. So yeah, it's going to take visuals for her. It really is. But again, so you actually got me leading into something I've thought about with this generation's now with media, social media, and just you have access to see these visuals now more than you ever have, ever.
Yep.
And so more people are able to see that and be attracted to it now than ever before.
Yeah. And that's like you were saying with the Instagram generation where, people are taking pictures and uploading everything in their life. So, and to be able to, do that, say in an underwater habitat of sorts, that, I mean, it's a great guerrilla marketing, for a business like us to be able to have people do that. Like, hey, check this out. This is amazing. Like, I can sleep right here and I can watch the, stingrays and whatever go by 5 feet away from me. It's, and like one of the things that I've always said that I think would be great about the whole deal is, like, I've gone to, and if you're familiar in the Midwest, the Omaha Zoo, which is like the second biggest zoo in the United States.
Okay.
And they have a huge aquarium, and they have like a few parts where you do the whole walking underwater through the tunnel thing.
Yeah.
And like every time we go there, we've gone there almost every summer except for this past summer. And I just love walking through that because it's just like you're looking all around you. You see the sharks, the stingrays, you see the, all the, the sea turtles. And so yeah, it's just like, I'd love to be able to like clear this out so it's just me in here and I just want to like take a nap or like lay down right here and just be able to see all the stuff around you, and just be able to just soak that in your own privacy too. It's like, not having it, because as awesome as it is, it's always a very crowded little area because everybody's in love with it. So being able to have that experience that you can kind of, depending on the situation, whether you're buying it for yourself or if it's something that you can go and just you can rent it for a while, much like a resort, a hotel, whatever, be able to experience that and really like truly soak it in and be able to see it naturally. I mean, there's beautiful aquariums all over, and people do the zoological societies do a great job of doing that. But to be upon like the 100% natural way of doing it, is even more special because it's like, this is truly like, being amongst the true nature of it.
You're in it.
yeah. Like you're in their business rather than, we bring them into ours type deal.
I like your view because I was wondering how this would go, because it's hard to find or think of those reasons. I know the reasons, but that's because I'm already attracted to it. So I'm biased.
Sure.
But one of the things I've talked to Brendan about, and I don't know if it'll ever air because of some of the other stuff that was in it. So,
Oh yeah, I know you're talking. Okay.
yeah, but I can bring this up. This isn't a problem because when it comes to the underwater stuff, people are always how dangerous it is. Now, not everybody, not everyone thinks that way, but there's plenty who are. And I've always just said, well, it's silly because we get into cars and planes every day, and those are really dangerous.
Yeah.
If you're looking at it from the same way, you got to be fair and look at it that way. That's really dangerous. You're getting into something and doing something unnatural as a human being, because natural would be to walk your butt there.
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean?
Maybe
so how's it any different?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, since the dawn of man, we have been all we've been doing is stuff that we're not supposed to be doing. We've been finding ways to do what we're not supposed to do. And the thing is too with the when it comes to that argument is like, listen, like we're not gonna put this down at the in the Marianas Trench. Like this is gonna be at 1 atmosphere, like that 20 to 30 feet, give or take. I mean, distant future, we'll talk, but a lot of but going any deeper than that loses its recreational purposes and more for like research stuff. But for the the average person, which is what we're trying to talk about, is the danger is very, very low. And the new designs that Brendan's coming up with too, and just the design itself has so many redundancies, just like we would go above and beyond to be safer than your average hotel room, really. I mean, when you're in a regular hotel and like if it were to catch like a big fire, that's a big problem because I mean depending on how big the hotel is and where the fire's at, and like you might not know where the the exits are and all that. And I mean, so I don't, when I've looked at this whole project, I'm like, I don't see the danger part of it. There's the logistical issues of like how you get everything into place and all that. But as far as like danger, like I never really thought of that too much because it's just like, you can't make it work until you figure out how to take the danger out of it. And so once it's working, that means it's not dangerous anymore, really.
Right.
So that's kind of what I've always kind of thought with the whole project is just being able to, it doesn't seem scary because it's like, it's not,
Tell me how it's any more dangerous than that aquarium.
Yeah. You got a light bubble there. What did you do?
I have no idea. I thought it was
I think that was you that did that.
Did I do this? I don't know. Tell me how it's any more dangerous than the aquarium you went to when you're in that tunnel.
Yeah.
You got how many gallons of water pushing that right there,
Actually, now that you're saying that, I have I pulled up a picture. This is what that tunnel looks like at the Omaha. Yeah, I mean, in all reality, like you're saying, like if something were to go wrong in this tunnel, like one of those windows breaks through,
you are screwed.
Yeah, and probably not for more than a few seconds, really, because I mean, it would flood out pretty darn quick. But I still wouldn't want to be a part of the chaos. But but yeah, I mean, same thing. I mean, you're surrounded by it. It's but yeah, that's that zoo. But yeah, and I think if you were able to, the marketing would be to me pretty easy to do, especially if, in the beginning, not even in the beginning, we've been talking lately about, Brendan showed the designs in the last time of how there would be like a stairway system into some of them too, off of a dock or have a boat bring you up to it, whatever it may be, to where you could literally just walk down to it. And we had, a lot of the other designs have always been, you would scuba down to it. But we're talking about, a system and where you wouldn't have to do that. So having it be applicable to the whole community, really. there's probably a lot of people that find the fun in being like, that's probably the part of the allure of Jules is being able to scuba dive down to it
I
rather than
think
just
so.
walk down to it. But for those people that's like, hey, I don't know how to swim, I can't swim, or I don't want to learn how to, that part freaks me out. And it's just like, all right, well, take the stairs down. I mean, it's as simple as that. But giving that opportunity to do such a thing. And then I guess the financial part of it too is like, depending on how these are set up, if like a resort buys them, or some sort of real estate development buys a bunch of them and Airbnbs them out. I mean, stuff like that's becoming more and more affordable all the time. And it's you can pull up Airbnb or Verbo, whatever those are, and you can see not just like regular people, cabins and houses and stuff like that. People have like listed like they have tree houses that you can stay in, or like just really unique type of stays, like rail cars that they've converted into place, airplanes, and just all this different stuff they converted, and they're not expensive. Like I've looked at them before. I mean, there's not around here, so it'd be expensive for me to travel to them, but to stay the night in these like really cool types of designs of places is super cheap. Like the same as like just getting yourself a nice hotel room, really.
I just saw one that someone took an old Chinook helicopter and turned into one.
Yeah, I mean, if you can find an object that you can walk around in, I mean, then you have yourself a capability of creating a tiny home of some sorts, and that's really what it is. It's creating a tiny home, except for you submerge, submerge it, and I mean, you still have the same capabilities you have otherwise. It's just now you have a really cool, unique experience and a view that you have.
Yes. Yeah.
And it gives everybody the opportunity too, I think, from a learning aspect too. Brendan talks heavily about, to get people to be more aware of being environmentally friendly, I guess you could say, or being aware of like how to keep the oceans clean and stuff. Get them out in front of it, like get them to be face to face with like ocean, and be like, man, this is beautiful. Like I do want to be more conscious so I don't ruin what's in front of me type deal.
Yeah.
So, and it's one thing to be like on a boat or a jet ski or whatever and going across the top of the water. And you're like, oh, this is neat. But to kind of put yourself in the perspective of like what it's like to be underwater and kind of look around and, get that, that perspective of like, do I want to be the person that like ruins this, or do I want to be the person that kind of maybe does a little bit more to try to prevent, this kind of thing from being ruined? So,
well, that goes back to social media. So many people, I mean, it's really being pushed, the preservation, the conservation, ways to make it better. And so you get enough people interested, you're going to have the peer pressure for just that alone.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, trying to think of a good example of how that's already worked, but I mean, you see all sorts of movements and like kind of grassroots, not protests, but causes and movements and stuff, all because of just, well, I mean, you think back, there was like that one viral video.
Just you're froze up. I don't know if it's my end or your end, but like it's.
Am I here?
You're frozen. Your voice is breaking up really bad.
Hold on. Let me know when I'm in. Might be you. I'm hardwired in. I'm not getting any signs. Ladies and gentlemen, we're pausing for a moment. Am I still bad?
I can see you move, but it'd be just like it's like really frame by frame.
Am I back?
All I see is a black screen. Hey,
I think I'm good. I'm wondering if you have problems because my internet connectivity is really good. Hold on.
Yeah. See, mine's saying it is. There's something between us somewhere.
Something's breaking us up.
There, you're normal mostly.
That's how I've been most of my life, just normal mostly.
Mostly. Okay.
Because what I was saying, like, as far as like grassroots movements and stuff and viral media and stuff like that, I remember, I don't know how many years ago it was now, but I don't know, 10 give or take. But there was that video of those people that rescued that sea turtle that had that plastic straw in its nose. Like, everybody's seen that video.
Yeah.
It went viral. But I mean, really, when you think about it, that was kind of one of the biggest catalysts in getting people to be aware of, like, hey, like, places. I know a lot of people hate paper straws and stuff, but a lot of people started switching over to that because of that.
Yeah.
Or restaurants, a lot of places they'll make it to where, like, hey, unless you ask for a straw, we're not going to give you a straw type deal. Or, people cut up the rings for their, their sodas and stuff. So, like, they don't, it's simple stuff like that to where, and I think it kind of stems from just all it took was that one deal. Now, I mean, that's a little bit of a different area than what we're talking about, but it's the fact that people saw something that didn't affect their daily lives until they saw it.
Yeah.
And then they became more aware. So, I mean, the same thing is like, we're in the business of wanting to build a underwater habitat for people to visit, for people to own, for research to be done, for educational, recreational, whatever it may be purposes. But at the end of the day, what you can gain from that, whether it's something you did like as a fun vacation, you're going to bring something back from that. And, or you like what they do at Jules, where they have a bunch of students and stuff that go there every now and again, and they do like learning experiments and whatever it may be, giving that experience that you literally can't find anywhere else in the world, really.
Yeah.
Or very, very few people can. So being able to grant that type of thing. And I mean, simply put, like, I like the idea of doing something unique. Like, if I'm going to go on a vacation or something, like, I want to be able to, like, tell a story that a lot of people, other people can't necessarily say they've done. So yeah, it'd be like, yeah, we went to this tropical location or beachside resort, but we actually stayed underwater. And then be like, oh, really?
Yep.
It's like, it's a little bit different than saying, like, yeah, I was at a resort. It's just like, well, I was at a resort, but this one was underwater. It's like, being able to tell that story and, whatever it may be.
I've got, I did make a list of things.
Oh, let's hear the list, man.
And it's just the reasons humans should be attracted to the ocean more than anything.
Sure.
So the same thing we all hear. If you are into this kind of thing, I guess is the best way to say it. You still hear it otherwise. 70% or so of the world is covered in water. So hello, what's I'm not going to be able to remember who said it now, who coined it, but we shouldn't be called an Earth. We shouldn't be called Earth. We should be called a water planet.
Yeah.
Not Earth.
Exactly.
Because, and then this is one of those things that can be a pro or a con depending on who you are, but there's 2.2 million, there's greater than 2.2 million different species of animal in the oceans.
That we know of.
Yeah, exactly. It's just unbelievable how much is out there. And, everyone wants to be afraid, but I always go back to the same thing. Here in the States, you have bears and warthogs that would go after you just as much as, and technically cows kill more people than sharks.
Yeah. So, way more. Dogs kill more people than sharks.
So, that's not really a founded fear either when it comes down to it. So all kinds of species, and you think of all the beauty, and I go back to the social media thing, because how much of it is based on someone filming animals or some kind of an animal life, nature, in the ocean. And it's really neat. The ocean has its different landscapes, just like land does.
Yep.
There's forests, there's deserts, there's the equivalent of like thermal vents. Well, I know that there's thermal vents. I was going to say volcano, but I don't want to make that an exaggeration. People freak out. Like, that's
Yeah.
not what I mean by it. But you got ice scapes, you got tropical areas. So there's all kinds of different beauties of things to be attracted to. And then the fact that we want people to get involved in ocean because of what we were just talking about, conservation stuff, because the ocean filters our CO2 for us more than even all the forests do. Let me see here. This is a touchy subject, but food as a food source.
Yep.
But on the other hand, I don't want you to be, and the reason I say touchy subject is because fishing. But don't be so narrow-minded to think only fishing, because there's plenty of plant life that is edible out of the ocean, and more stuff's being found and farmed in the ocean and not fish, for use on and products and food on land. And of course, our health, for our bodies, our skin. They've found and there just did it to me again.
I think it has something to do with you giving a thumbs up.
Yep. So our bodies, our skin, the minerals and stuff in ocean water. So just being around for a little bit, and then they've already proven that being at a beach, the ocean, is calming and like calms the brain. Like the brain waves start to even out, your blood pressures go down, your stress starts leaving you, and I mean, come on. I mean, those are all health benefits in today's world. No matter how you look at it, those are health benefits. And let me see, we already talked the beauty of it, but then the thing that I wrote down, which were just fun, was just treasures, shipwrecks and treasures. We got something you don't got,
Yeah, I mean, and we talked on the last episode when we were doing a trivia night that amount of money that is out there,
crazy.
One of the things I'm working on, like I was going to share some pictures here.
Yeah.
While you were talking, I just wanted to make sure you didn't think I was ignoring you.
Oh, I know. I saw you looking. It's good.
I'm trying to find some good pictures here.
So I can turn to my right or my left, whichever you think's better.
I'll have it pulled up here in just a second, because we were talking about like the unique stays and all that, and here I'll have I'm gonna share my screen here real quick.
While you're doing that, I'm just going to say that some cities are worried about overpopulation. So when something like this becomes a normal, you can be living out there. You'll be part of the city, but you're just going to be in the water part of the city.
Right. So this is where I was going to try to. I know that seems weird because without context right here, but this is one of the things I was talking about. This is a hotel that you can stay at where you're literally in a like on a giraffe reserve, right? And like they come right up to your window. You can feed them, like they're just on the property. They're like right outside your window. And this kind of place is booked nonstop because it offers such a crazy experience that like I said, you could literally open up your window and be like, oh, cool, a giraffe. Like, you can't do that anywhere else, So, I mean, you're seeing the video that's playing here. And another one I was thinking, and so there's a bunch of these, and like I can't remember the names of all them. I've looked them up. There's one where like you're like on like kind of like I mean, it is a little bit more sectioned off a little bit. But there's one where the rooms are kind of attached to like a wolf enclosure, but like a really big one, to where like the wolves will come right up to your windows and stuff. I want to say there's places like with big cats that do it. I don't think
Yeah.
stateside, but and then another thing like I've been seeing more of, and these are
Yeah,
all over the
that's what I was
place,
going to bring up. Yep.
is like you can get these like experiences for like, especially like in northern United States, kind of by not necessarily by me, but like over in Minnesota, they've opened places like this where the little bit further north you go to be able to see the northern lights, but then to offer a little like your own little kind of like tiny type deal hotel
Yeah.
room with a big window so you can like just be amongst it, and see the like you see here. So I mean, this is the kind of stuff that's like it's all over.
Yeah.
You can see like you talking about social media. What we do is not crazy compared to all that. I mean, it's just because like very few people have done it before, whereas like a lot of this stuff is like, I mean, the footprints have already been there for a lot of this stuff, where people are just now kind of figuring out that they could make money and offer cool experiences by being like, let's just make a tiny cabin, face it north, and with a big window, and people want to be here because of the northern lights, and they would. Or a place where it's just like, hey, like we already have all these giraffes, why don't we just open a place where you can open a window?
Right.
It's just like people want to do it. It's I mean, if you're not interfering with nature or like harming anything, and you can have like a good safe experience, I mean, that nobody's looking at these things and being like, well, that's crazy, that's weird.
Right.
No, it's not. It's a cool, unique experience, and what we want to do is the same exact thing, just you're in a different element, literally a different element. But I mean, like you said, safety wise, it's no different. Like it's the same thing. We want to give you a really cool physical view of your environment, your own little house, really, like not even just a hotel room, be able to offer you your own, kitchen area, and have your storage, and have, for if you want to have an extended stay, not just whatever. I mean, that's what it kind of comes down to.
So Glenn brought up earlier, not on this, but earlier when Brendan had posted what the topic was, and he said, humans do things either for the pain of not doing it or for the reward of doing it.
Yep.
And so, in this case, it's the reward of doing it because, like you were saying, the experience, how many times do you hear it? You only live once. And if you got the means, and especially with what ASC is trying to do to make it affordable to the everyday person, accessible to the everyday person, if that makes it something that, yes, more people can do. So it's not as unique, but not everybody wants to do this.
Yep.
So it's still unique, and I don't know what else to say. I mean, you're still getting that reward out of it.
And Brendan told me he wants to be able to us to have some like clips that he can make out of this video and some sound bites or whatever. So I'll give him a sound bite. But here's my pitch. I made this pitch on another episode, and I'll make it again a little bit differently, where our appeal to the regular viewer, the people that come and visit the site, that check us out on social media. I mean, unless you are for some reason a millionaire or whatever like that, we're not trying to like have you buy these individually, right? We're not trying to get like the average blue collar worker. We're not trying to get them to buy an entire underwater habitat. But what we do want from the people that support us and show interest in it is to continue to show interest in it. And if they are able to help out with any, in any way, as far as like, the donating, the Patreon, just sharing our content, is what that does is to get those bigger businesses, like the big resort businesses, like real estate investors, people that want to do these like Airbnb, resorts and stuff like that. We want them to buy it. We want them to be the ones to get these. They're the ones that have the money. They're the ones that like, it's not going to throw them out of business. It's not like this big deal for like these big businesses to make a bigger purchase. So, like I said, if you're a millionaire or something like that and you want one for yourself, great. That's perfectly fine. But we're very well aware that the average person cannot just up and buy essentially a new home just out of, for the sake of what it is. I mean, we're all average blue collar citizens. But if that person is like, man, I really want to do this. I really want something like this to happen. And they're, sharing this idea with people. They're talking to people about this idea, like I said, sharing our content, joining our Patreon, whatever it is that can help out. That's going to show interest to the people that can make the purchases and make the big investments. So that is my pitch to the average person is, if this is something that you think is cool and that you would maybe want to try someday, by all means, like, get involved with us and, tell people about us and whatever it may be, because I stand firmly behind the fact that we have the most, I believe, approachable design and realistic design and easily manufacturable. Not as a slight to any of the other people, but just I believe in like what we're doing. So that would be my pitch to everybody with that.
You talking about that made me think of like the NASA pool down in Texas where they have the mock-up of the ISS.
Yep.
And the Dubai deep pool.
Yep.
With all the scenery in it. So if you're a millionaire and you want a unique pool, this is how you do it. You put your own habitat in a pool and have your parties and whatever, and you'll have something no one else has.
Yeah, come on, Bezos, Musk, Zuckerberg.
That's right.
Cuban, whatever. Listen, and I'm going to save this. This is one of my last pitches for this, and I don't know if Brennan's going to be happy or not for me pitching this idea, but I got to thinking about this. Babe, you're familiar with the term the Mile High Club, correct?
Yes.
Well, I'm just saying, I think there could be a similar thing.
The 5 Fathom Club.
whatever you want to call it. So, that's, I mean, if you want a romantic getaway in a very unique location to share your love, whatever you want to call it. I mean, how many people would be able to say that? I mean, I'm sure there's been a few, the few places that you can visit, I'm sure it's been an occurrence, but the Mile High Club thing seems like a pretty popular club at this point. It's like, hey, I want to join this other club that these guys are working on. Granted, I don't think that's what we're going to advertise on the site, but I do want to put that out there.
People figure that out by themselves.
Brennan's going to watch this and go back to edit and be like, you moron, why would you say that?
He's doing what
or he'll be upset or he'll be upset that he didn't pitch the idea first. I don't know. You never know with him. But no, in all reality, it would be to sum it all up. The designs that we have are accessible for everybody, not just the scuba community, for everybody. The experience, like I said, if you can get the big businesses to buy them, to rent them out, to give, the resorts, the Airbnbs, whatever it may be, could make it affordable to every person. It doesn't have to be a luxurious, like it's super expensive type thing where you have to like plan for years if you want to be able to do it. And the people that would buy these, like the companies that buy these, could be making such good money off of it too. Mm-hmm. I firmly believe that we will get to a point where we will be able to manufacture them efficiently, and be able to give a good price to where it's not a crazy expensive thing. And then be able to offer these people a cool business opportunity to rent them out, whatever you want to do, lease them out, however you want to go about it. And then someone like me that is, I'm far from rich or whatever, I'm, lower middle class, whatever you want to talk about. Like, I believe that I would have that opportunity to do that and not have to worry about it being a crazy thing. Like, this would probably be more affordable than going to Disney World or whatever it is. I don't know. So I don't want them to come sue us or something for me saying that, but they are expensive trips. So, but
we're 60 years into, over 60 years into having the idea of an underwater habitat.
Yeah.
That's over half of 100 years. The science, the engineering's already been done for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of getting the other pieces put together now.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. And
someone's already done all the logistics.
It's a home run because you just said the work's been done. Yeah. Now it's a matter of just convincing the people to be like, try it out. Like, get this thing,
right.
Let us build this thing for you. Put it on your resort, put it on your whatever, rent it out, and you will know that this thing is a moneymaker and it's something that people are going to clamor to go see. It will sell itself after the first one. I truly believe that.
How'd the first RV sell? It wasn't a covered wagon, you know what I mean? Yeah. It was like, so yeah, it's the same idea.
And the thing is, every concept is, that's every invention, every concept, every improvement that's ever been made has always been initially met by a huge wave of criticism, no matter what it was. Cars were considered a joke. Personal computers were not going to be a thing. The internet was not going to be a thing. We see it now, like with electric vehicles. Like there's a big debate about, these things aren't going to last. They're not going to. It's like the jury's still out on it. But I think if history repeats itself, it's going to be a thing. Space travel, it's becoming a thing where people can, like a regular person can go on these like little personal trips. Granted, it's not cheap, but you can. Like,
you can.
Back in the 60s when they were launching these things, like nobody ever thought like, well, I'll be able to buy a ticket someday. Like, no, that never, and people would always criticize that too. Like, oh, who's going to want to deal with that? It's a thing. It's just like, yeah, you can sit and criticize all you want, but once you see the first one, there's going to be those people that are going to try it regardless. And then you'll either come around to it or you'll forget about it. It doesn't, either way, it won't matter, but it will grow into a thing. It's just, do you want to be the person that helps move it along or the person that just wants to sit there and say, it's not going to be a thing?
Rock and roll wasn't going to be a thing, right?
Yeah.
It was just a fad.
Every big thing was never going to be a thing. That's what it comes down to. It's frustrating. Social media has made it a lot worse. Getting way off topic of the ASC thing, but social media has made everything so. Yes. In some ways, it's helped make everything more presentable to people, but then it makes it more accessible for criticism too. So
some people love the criticism. Some people look for that, and that's what they want to do then.
See, the downside of what, there was, a point in time where some guy made the very first car. He already had it built, and then the newspapers were like, hey, this guy made a thing. Well, he already had it made by the time it got to the newspapers. Now it's like, hey, we have an idea, and then it's already out there. Like, oh, your idea is out there? like you don't even have it done yet. You have an idea? Well, let's start picking it apart now. So, but that's fine. We're up for that challenge. We're working with it. So,
they're already being built. I mean, Deep, Proteus. It's already. We're not the only ones. People are doing this. Brendan talks about Martin, Calamar Park. I mean, there's plenty.
Yep. Is what I would say is I think we're the only. I don't want to say this because I don't want to slight anybody else, but I think we're the only ones domestically, stateside, that have a smaller affordable design that's going to be for public use. A lot of these other things are never going to be for public use anyways.
Yeah.
And Martin Calamar Park or whatever, over in Turkey, like, so he's got a really good project, great designs, doing a lot of cool stuff, making a lot of big progress, but that's over there at the moment. But he's got a great concept that works too. So having said that, with ASC being United States or North America, however you want to go about it, I believe we do have the most realistic approach to how we want to do it and how it'll work out. So even though we might not be the first, I think we can be the most logistical and efficient option when it comes to
that. We're just approaching it from a way different angle than everybody else. And again, we go back to the everyday person. Our angle is the everyday person, literally. That's what it is.
Brendan's one of my best friends, and I would always support him regardless. But I don't know if I would have offered to help with anything. Not that like I'm the biggest help with the ASC thing. Like I'm not going to pat my back, but I don't think I would have jumped on board to try to help him out with anything if his goal was to make it a very exclusive, only for rich people, only for this. It's like, well, it doesn't seem fun. It's just like, no, his goal is to make this something that everybody can be, that we all can appreciate.
Yep.
Having said that, do you want to cover anything else?
I think we pretty much
we did a good
this
job
one to death for now. Yeah. It's a good take on it. And if people have comments when you watch or hear this later, drop us a line. Let's hear it. Because
take it up with the complaint department. I'm kidding. But yeah, no, it'll I don't got anything else. I'm sure, and Brendan's not here to confirm any of this. Looking at a calendar, I'm wondering if in a couple of weeks we'll do another one. We have 3 Tuesdays this month, and it seems like we always do them every other Tuesday now. So who knows how we'll do this? Brendan will post something, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But other than that, you want me to run through the outro there, babe? Is that okay with you?
Make it happen.
All right. LanasCcolony.com. Go over there. It's a brand new website. Brendan is very excited about it. Brendan loves updating the website and redesigning the website. I always give him a hard time about it. But yeah, new, fresh look over there. Also, while you're over there, check out, we have all of the contact info for us. Also, all of the social medias. We talked about social media quite a bit on this episode. But we're on Facebook, X, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, as well as the podcast. A lot of this will get turned into a podcast, Colonize the Ocean, which is on all podcast platforms. So check us out there. And Brendan will do actually he'll do smaller episodes of the podcast. So stuff that we're not stuff that's not the live stream, but he does actual stuff for podcast only. So go check that out. Also, he's got a resource page over there I talk about every time. So if you're interested in this kind of concept, he's got book recommendations, YouTube recommendations, podcast recommendations over on the resource page. So go check that out. Also, we'll have our link to our Discord on there. Discord, it's free for everybody to get on. We have a lot of discussions on there, different channels in the Discord group. People talk design, they talk about locations, they talk about energy and utilities, stuff like that. And we even have a channel for when we talk about movies. Brendan was really happy about The Abyss being in 4K. So, but we have a venue where you can just have fun with that. It doesn't have to be all about business. So, but yeah, so go check that out. Join our Discord. Like I said, that's free for everybody to join. And if you want to support, one of the ways you can support is AtlantaCcolony.com/merch. Once again, Babe's got a couple things there. He's got his ASC shirt on right now. He's got the Hammerhead design shirt that you can find over there. And he's got his ASC water bottle right behind him too. I have an ASC shirt on, but this isn't on the store. This is what Brendan and I wore to when we went to DEMA. But a lot of cool designs over there for shirts and hoodies and water bottles and mouse pads, and just there's a little bit of everything over there. So go check it out. A lot of cool designs. And when you purchase any of that, obviously we get a little bit of a portion of that too, so that helps out. We talked earlier about Patreon. I made the pitch earlier that if you want to see something that's like this come to life, but you're not a millionaire or whatever, just an average Joe, join the Patreon if you can. We do 5, 15, and 25 a month levels there, and we're still constructing some ideas on how to offer different incentives for those levels. One of the things is Patreon members, regardless, we talked about the Discord. We do have a couple of channels that are just for Discord members. So you'll have access to those if at any level, I believe. And also you'll get your name on here too. We have our current ones, which is Brian Acosta, Matthew Cathy, Martin Reese, and then Babe and I, we're members of that.
Yep.
And then Ron Traxler as well. Brendan's dad. Good old supportive dad. That's what it comes down to. And it might not seem like a lot. Like I know, like, maybe a lot of big time people would look at that and be like, that's not very many Patreon members. It drastically helps. It's stuff that can help us reach out more, gives us opportunity to do marketing. It helped in the sense of being able to go to DEMA this past year. Just adding to the account. It's like, hey, if we have to build this by ourselves and we have to wait until we just get enough donations to do it, well, this is the way it's going to happen. Until someone comes like a big time investor, which we're always chasing. But if none of them want to give us a chance, then it'll be completely publicly funded and it'll be through Patreon. So, anything you can do to help out, if you want to be a part of that, we definitely appreciate that. And like we said, there's also the Colonize the Ocean podcast. You can find that on all the podcast platforms. So check that out. Guys, thank you for jumping in with Babe and I. Sans Brendan, we didn't have him with us. That's all right. I bet he was watching most of it. I go watching our account and stuff. He's probably sitting there. He's waiting for us to get off, and then he'll be like, all right, guys, here's the notes I got for you. No, but other than that, like I said, I'm pretty sure we'll get together again in a couple weeks. And by all means, reach out on the social media, message us. If you have ideas for episodes or content you want us to cover, reach out to us. That's less work for us, is to try to think of like good ideas and stuff. Sometimes, like if we know there's something you guys want us to cover, that makes it easier for us, and we don't have to do the thinking about it. We can just talk. But anyways, Babe, it was good seeing you. I'll catch you on the other side of the outro credits. But everyone else, we will see you in a couple weeks. Bye-bye.